All right, so you're ready to jump into the world of makeup artistry, huh? Big interview coming up.
The exciting world of makeup artistry. It is a big step.
Definitely. Well, we've got all those RoleCatcher resources right here to help us out. Career guides, interview questions, the whole shebang.
Like a cheat sheet for interview success.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to dive deep into all of this and make sure you are totally prepped and ready to nail that interview. First things first, what does a makeup artist actually do?
Well, it's more than just, making people look good. It's transforming people. You're turning actors into characters,
Yeah.
working with prosthetics, quick changes under pressure.
Oh, yeah, I bet the pressure can be intense.
Oh, absolutely. And all while staying true to the director's vision. Got to make sure you're on the same page.
Bringing stories to life.
Yeah, exactly. One brushstroke at a time. And the RoleCatcher Career Guide actually even mentions all the different places you could work, studios, on location, theaters. It can get pretty intense.
So you start as an assistant, learning the ropes, right?
Right. From assistant, you move up to junior artist, intermediate, and then finally senior makeup artist.
With each step, you're taking on more responsibility.
Exactly. As an assistant, you're mainly learning from the pros, watching how they do things. Then as a junior artist, you start to apply more of your own skills and techniques. And then finally, as a senior makeup artist, you're leading the whole department. You're in charge.
That's really cool. I like how the RoleCatcher sample profiles actually give you a look at the skills needed for each level too.
Yeah, those profiles are super helpful.
Okay, so we've talked about all the great stuff, but we got to be real for a second. This job isn't always glamorous.
You got that right.
RoleCatcher does a good job of pointing out both sides, the good and the bad. So the exciting part is the flexibility, the creative freedom. But then there are the challenges. Inconsistent work, long hours, lots of competition.
You're competing with lots of other talented people.
For sure. It's definitely something to think about when you're considering this career path.
Yeah.
Do those pros outweigh the cons for you?
It's a question everyone have to answer for themselves.
So, okay, you've got the passion, you know what the career looks like. Now we got to tackle those interview questions.
The dreaded interview questions.
RoleCatcher has like over 120,000 sample questions.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Don't worry, we are definitely not going to go through all of them.
Thank goodness.
But that's where the RoleCatcher AI is super helpful. It can tailor your answers to the exact job you're applying for, which can give you a real edge.
It's amazing what technology can do these days. It's like having a personal coach right in your pocket.
I know, right? Okay, let's jump into some of those common questions. How about this one? Can you tell us about your previous experience as a makeup artist? How would you approach that one?
I think the key here is to really bring your experience to life. Don't just list off your past jobs, Tell a story.
Ooh, I like that.
Talk about specific projects, challenges you faced, and things you learned along the way. Let your passion shine through. They want to see your enthusiasm.
Make them feel like they're right there on set with you. And I bet they might follow up with something like, can you elaborate on a time you had to adjust your style to meet a specific character brief?
Oh, for sure. They'll want to see how adaptable you are. Think of a time when you really had to step outside of your comfort zone to create a truly unique look. What was your process?
I bet those stories are pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here's another one that always comes up. How do you stay up to date on all the latest makeup trends?
This is about showing them you're dedicated to your craft. Always learning and evolving. Mention industry publications, workshops, anything that keeps you at the forefront of what's happening. Social media is a big one too.
Oh, definitely. You've got to show them that you're a lifelong learner.
Always curious, always exploring new techniques.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. How would you answer this one? How do you approach working with clients who have really specific requests or maybe concerns about their makeup?
I think the key here is to highlight your communication skills. Walk them through how you really take the time to understand the client's vision.
Like active listening?
Exactly. How do you address their concerns?
And make them feel heard and understood.
Yes. Make sure they feel comfortable and confident in your hands. After all, it's their face.
Speaking of feeling confident, I bet they might ask something like, tell us about a time you had to compromise with a client on their makeup. How did you handle it?
That's a great question, because it's bound to happen at some point. You're not always going to agree with your clients 100% of the time, so this is your chance to show that you can be diplomatic. How do you find solutions that work for both you and the client?
All right, let's get a little more technical. How about this one? How do you make sure your makeup lasts, that it's durable?
The question of longevity. Well, this is where you get to showcase your knowledge of products and techniques. Talk about things like primers, setting sprays. Layering techniques are important too.
Right. And don't forget to be specific about the brands you prefer and why.
Exactly. What works best for you? What do you rely on? They want to hear about your personal toolkit.
They might even throw a curveball and ask something like, how would you make sure the makeup holds up in, say, a humid environment?
Ah, yes. Those tricky situations that put your knowledge to the test. So think about specific products and techniques that you would use in a scenario like that.
Always good to be prepared for anything.
Absolutely. You never know what they're going to throw at you.
Now, on to diversity and inclusivity. A common question is, how do you work with different skin tones and types to create a variety of looks?
This is such an important one. They want to know that you can work with a wide range of clients. So showcase your understanding of how different products work on different skin tones and types.
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite foundation that comes in a wide array of shades? Any specific techniques you use for applying blush on different skin textures? Show your commitment to inclusivity.
It's all about making everyone feel beautiful and confident.
And I bet they might even ask something like, can you walk us through how you color match foundation?
Ah, yes, the art of foundation matching. Definitely be prepared to discuss your process. Show off your precision and attention to detail.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Here's one that tests your versatility. How would you create looks for different events? Like a wedding versus a photo shoot.
This is where you get to show your range as an artist. You're like a chameleon, adapting to different needs and environments.
Right. If you have a process for mood boarding, for weddings, share it. Favorite lighting techniques for photo shoots. Anything that shows your creative adaptability.
They want to see you think on your feet.
Speaking of thinking on your feet, how would you approach this question? Tell us about a really challenging job you've had. How did you handle it?
This is a classic. Choose a situation that really highlights your strengths. Maybe a difficult client or an unexpected time crunch. Explain the situation, walk them through your steps, and focus on that positive outcome.
It's not about dwelling on the negative, but about showing how you can overcome obstacles.
Right. And don't be afraid to talk about what you learned from that experience. Always growing, always evolving.
I bet they might follow up with something like, looking back, would you have done anything differently?
Oh, yeah, probably. Hindsight is always 20/20, right? But the key is to show that you're always learning from your mistakes and looking for ways to improve.
Okay, last one before we move on. How do you manage your time when you're juggling multiple jobs at once?
Organization is key. Walk them through your system. Do you have a specific method for prioritizing? Do you use a planner?
Do you delegate well? Share your secrets.
They want to see that you can handle a busy schedule and still meet those deadlines.
And they might ask, imagine you're on 2 different film sets with overlapping schedules. How would you make sure everything runs smoothly?
Another tough one.
Yeah.
But being able to answer these types of hypothetical questions confidently will really impress them.
Okay, we've covered a ton of ground here, but there's one more tool that could be a total game changer for your interview prep.
Oh, and what's that?
RoleCatcher's AI.
Ah, yes. The secret weapon.
Right. Remember how we talked about it tailoring your answers to different job descriptions?
Yeah.
Well, it actually goes even deeper than that. It can analyze your responses and give you AI-powered feedback. It's like having a personalized coach in your pocket, helping you refine your delivery and boost your confidence.
It's really incredible, like having a personal pep talk before you walk into that interview room.
Exactly. So as you gear up for your makeup artist interview, remember that RoleCatcher's AI can really help you stand out from the crowd, land that dream job.
It can make all the difference. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about the salary expectations. They almost always ask about that.
Oh yeah, the dreaded salary question.
RoleCatcher has some good advice for this one. Make sure you do your research ahead of time.
Yeah, definitely. Look at industry averages, what other people with your level of experience are making, factor in the location.
And the demands of the specific role, too, right? You don't want to undersell yourself.
Right. Be realistic but confident.
Exactly. And if you're not sure, it's totally fine to say that you're open to discussing a competitive range based on your skills and experience.
And remember, salary isn't everything.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Benefits, work-life balance, opportunities for growth, those are all super important factors too. All right, let's get back to the good stuff.
Back to the passion.
Here's a question that gets to the heart of it. Why are you interested in this? In being a makeup artist?
Ah, yes.
Your why. This is your moment to share what draws you to this field, what excites you about it.
Yeah, let your personality shine through.
And maybe share some personal experiences that have kind of fueled your passion along the way.
They want to see that genuine enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And they might even follow up with, what are your long-term goals? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? That kind of thing.
Oh, definitely. It's all about showing your ambition. Do you want to specialize in a certain type of makeup,
Mhm.
maybe special effects, lead a department? Paint a picture of that ideal future for them.
Show them you're in it for the long haul. Okay, here's one that's a bit more technical. What are your go-to brands and products, and why?
Oh, yeah. Time to geek out a little. Show off your knowledge of different brands, from drugstore to high-end.
Explain what you love about certain products. Why do you prefer them? Maybe you have a favorite foundation because it has a great shade range.
Or maybe you're obsessed with a certain eyeshadow palette because the pigments are amazing.
Whatever it is, be specific. Show them you've done your research and you know what you're talking about.
And don't be afraid to mention some of those maybe lesser-known brands that you've discovered too.
Oh yeah, definitely. That shows you're going the extra mile, always looking for new and innovative products, always pushing the boundaries.
They might even ask you for specific product recommendations, like, what are your favorites for a natural, everyday look?
It's good to have a few go-to looks in mind that you can easily describe and explain.
Okay, so we've talked about your skills and experience. Now let's get into your personal style.
Ah, yes, the fun part.
How would you answer this question? Describe your personal makeup style.
Think about what words really capture your aesthetic. Bold, romantic, edgy. And then give some specific examples of looks that represent your signature style. What are you drawn to? Why?
I bet they might even ask to see your portfolio at this point.
Yeah.
Like, can you show us some examples of your work that really demonstrate your personal style?
Absolutely. This is where your portfolio really shines. It's like your visual resume. Make sure it's up to date and showcases your best work. Make sure those photos are high quality too.
So important. Now, back to some of those trickier questions. How would you handle this one? Tell me about a time a client was unhappy with their makeup. How did you deal with that?
Oh, this is a tough one. But it's bound to happen, so you've got to be prepared.
For sure.
The key here is to show that you can stay professional and handle difficult situations with grace. RoleCatcher really emphasizes the importance of staying calm, listening to the client's concerns, and working collaboratively to find a solution. You want to show that you're willing to compromise and that you're dedicated to client satisfaction.
I think a lot of people struggle with that. But it's such an important skill to have. They might even ask, can you give me an example of a time you successfully resolved a conflict with a client? So have a good story in your back pocket.
Oh yeah, a good story that shows your problem-solving skills, and always focus on the positive outcome.
Okay, here's a question about lighting. How do you adjust your makeup for different lighting?
This is all about showing that you understand how different types of lighting, natural light versus fluorescent versus stage lighting, can affect how makeup looks, how colors and textures can change. So maybe you use a brighter foundation when you're working outdoors, or you opt for matte finishes under those harsh stage lights, that kind of thing.
It's all about showing that you're adaptable. And I bet they might ask something like, how would you approach makeup for a film shoot that has both indoor and outdoor scenes?
That's a great question. It really gets you thinking about all the different factors you have to consider, the logistics, the continuity of the makeup throughout the shoot. Those are all really important things to keep in mind.
Okay, time for a fun one. What's a look you're really proud of, and why?
This is your chance to shine. Pick a look that really showcases your skills and creativity. Maybe it was a complex character transformation for a theater production, or a stunning bridal makeup. Explain what inspired you, what techniques you used, and why it's so special to you.
Let that passion come through. And they might even ask, what were some of the biggest challenges in creating that look? How did you overcome them?
Another chance to show your problem-solving skills and how you can think outside the box.
All right, let's talk about teamwork. How would you answer this question? How do you approach working with a team of makeup artists on a big production?
This is all about collaboration. Highlight your ability to take direction, delegate tasks, and create a positive working environment. Mention how you give and receive feedback, how you can adapt your approach as needed. You're all working towards a common goal.
They might ask something like, tell us about a time you had to resolve a conflict with another makeup artist.
Oh, those tricky interpersonal situations. But it's important to show you can handle them professionally and find solutions that work for everyone involved.
Okay, here's a really important one. What are your practices for keeping your makeup kit clean and sanitary?
This is non-negotiable. You have to show them that you take hygiene seriously. Outline your specific cleaning routine, how often you clean your brushes, what products you use, if you use disposable applicators, the whole 9 yards.
They want to see that you're committed to maintaining a safe and healthy work environment.
Absolutely. And they might even ask something like, how would you handle a client with a skin allergy? So be prepared to talk about how you prioritize your client's health and safety.
All right, let's talk about freelancing for a bit. It's a common path for makeup artists. They might ask, how do you set your rates for freelance work?
This is where you have to find that balance between being competitive and valuing your expertise. RoleCatcher suggests doing research on industry standards, what other artists in your area are charging, and then factor in your own experience level, the time, the travel, the cost of products. All of that goes into it.
It's a business. They might even ask about negotiation. What do you do if a client tries to talk you down on your prices?
This is another one of those situations where you have to stay calm and professional, stand your ground, explain your rates and why they're justified.
Okay, here's a question about working under pressure. Tell us about a time you had to work under a tight deadline, or maybe with some unexpected challenges.
Pick a situation that really highlights your ability to stay calm and focused under pressure. Maybe a design changed at the last minute, or an actor was running late. Whatever it is, walk them through how you managed the stress and still got the job done.
And they might follow up with, what are your strategies for dealing with stress? Staying focused.
Good question. So think about what helps you stay grounded in those high-pressure situations. Maybe it's deep breathing or positive self-talk, whatever works for you.
Okay, now for a question about your strengths and weaknesses. What are your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to different types of makeup, like beauty, special effects, character makeup?
This is where you get to highlight those areas you excel in, and then also acknowledge areas where you're still growing. But frame those weaknesses as opportunities for growth. Show that you're always learning and striving to improve. They want to see that you're self-aware and have a desire to keep getting better.
They might ask, what are you doing to improve your skills in those areas where you're less confident?
So think about any specific courses, workshops, or tutorials you're taking to level up your skills.
Time to lighten things up a bit. They might ask, what are some of your favorite films or TV shows in terms of the makeup and hair?
Ooh, fun one. Share those movies and shows that really inspire you. Maybe it's the fantastical creatures in Lord of the Rings, or the transformative makeup in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Talk about what you love about the makeup and how it contributed to the overall story.
They might even ask, if you could work on any film or TV show, which one would it be and why?
Dream big. This is your chance to show your passion for the industry and how your skills align with their work.
Okay, back to reality. What do you know about our company? Classic question.
This is why research is so important. Before you even walk into that interview room, make sure you've thoroughly researched the company, their website, their past productions. Show that you've done your homework and that you're genuinely interested in working for them. You're not just there for any job.
They might even ask about a specific production, like, what did you think of our recent production of insert specific production title?
See, you've got to be prepared.
Okay, let's talk about networking. Do you have any connections in the industry?
This is all about showcasing your connections and how you can bring value to the company. Mention any mentorships, apprenticeships, or collaborations you've had, any industry organizations you're part of. Let them know you're actively engaged in the makeup community.
And a good follow-up question might be, how would you use your network to benefit our team?
Think about how your connections can open doors for the company, whether it's through new talent or potential collaborations.
All right, back to self-awareness. What are some areas where you're looking to improve your skills as a makeup artist?
Be honest. Everyone has areas where they can improve. Maybe you want to learn airbrushing or expand your special effects makeup repertoire. Whatever it is, be specific and express your enthusiasm for learning and growing. They want to see that you're not complacent, you're driven.
I bet they'll ask, how are you actually working towards those goals? What steps are you taking?
So have a plan. Are you taking classes, watching tutorials, practicing new techniques?
Show them that you're proactive and committed to your professional development. All right, they might ask about your experience as a freelancer. How do you manage your time and workload when you're freelancing?
It's all about being organized and disciplined when you're your own boss. So highlight those time management skills. Do you have a dedicated workspace? Do you use a planner? Do you batch your tasks? Whatever your system is, share it.
And be prepared for the scenario question. Let's say you're juggling multiple freelance projects. How do you prioritize your time and make sure everything gets done?
This one's all about showing that you can handle multiple deadlines and still deliver high-quality work.
Remember, it always comes back to passion. They might ask, what do you love most about being a makeup artist?
This is your chance to share your why. What makes your heart sing? What keeps you coming back day after day?
I love that question. And I bet they'll follow up with, can you share a specific moment from your career that really brought you a lot of satisfaction or fulfillment?
Think about those moments that really solidified your love for this work. Those moments that made it all worthwhile. Share those stories.
They'll want to hear those stories. Okay, let's revisit adaptability for a second.
Oh.
Are you comfortable working on location, in a studio or in a theater setting?
This is all about showcasing your experience in those different environments. If you have experience in all those areas, fantastic. Highlight it. If not, be honest about where you have experience and where you're willing to learn.
They want to know you can handle anything they throw at you.
Right.
And they might ask, what are some of the unique challenges of those different settings? Like working on location versus in a studio.
So think about those differences, the logistics, the pace, the environment. Be prepared to talk about those.
Okay, problem solving on the fly. How would you answer this one? Describe a time you had to troubleshoot a makeup issue on set.
We all have those moments where things don't go exactly as planned.
Oh, tell me about it.
Right. So think about a time where you had to be resourceful and come up with a creative solution. Maybe you ran out of a product, or a wig started slipping, or a prosthetic was peeling off. Whatever it was, walk them through how you figured it out.
They might follow up with, what did you learn from that experience? How did it make you a better makeup artist?
It's all about those lessons learned, how you can use those experiences to improve your skills and be more prepared for the next challenge.
Okay, last but not least, how do you handle confidential information or sensitive situations on set?
This is about professionalism. You have to show them that you can be discreet and respectful, emphasize your commitment to confidentiality, especially when you're working with actors or on productions that have sensitive storylines.
And they might ask for a specific example, like, tell me about a time you had to handle a confidential situation. How did you approach it?
So have a story ready that shows your discretion and your ability to navigate those delicate situations with grace. It's all about earning that trust, showing that you can handle those situations with sensitivity and professionalism.
Okay, we've covered a ton of ground here, but before we wrap up, let's touch on something RoleCatcher highlighted. That growing trend of using more practical effects, less CGI in the film industry.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting, isn't it?
What do you think that means for makeup artistry?
Well, I think it means there are going to be even more opportunities for makeup artists, especially those skilled in prosthetics, special effects, creature design, all that really hands-on stuff.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of it that way. It's pretty exciting, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's a great time to be entering this field.
So, as you prepare for that interview, remember that RoleCatcher's AI can be a huge help. It can tailor your answers to specific job descriptions and give you feedback.
It's like having a secret weapon in your back pocket.
Right. And keep in mind, this trend towards practical effects. It's an exciting time to be a makeup artist. With the right preparation, you can be a part of it.